It's something that is built, and I think it's the core of a good therapist. And as a therapist, we're also people too. We're moms, we're sisters, we're daughters, we're friends, and we have our work life. So in many ways, there's so many hats that we wear, just like you out there and your parents and other folks. I like to camp, and I like to travel, hike. I like to rock hunt. That's a new fun thing for me. Very stress-free and relaxing, so I find that is a good self-care thing. And I think everybody should have some self-care, because we have to nourish ourselves the best way we can, and that helps us to be the healthiest we can be in every aspect: mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. So I think I already said we're going to talk about depression and anxiety and how it affects people, and then accessing help and support and coping skills. So what's the difference between sadness and depression? Sadness is a normal reaction to loss, disappointment, problems, or other difficult situations. Feeling sad from time to time is human and normal. Most of the time it goes away and it dissipates all by itself, and that's sadness. We all have it at times and move through it. And it's okay to feel sad. It's not wrong. It's definitely normal. So everybody should know that you can cope with sad things that happen. You can do things to ease a sad mood and feel happier. You can do that. You can ask for help to do that. A positive attitude can help you through disappointments. The way you think about things definitely makes an impact on how you move through it. Do you get stuck, or do you focus on something positive and better and keep moving? Sometimes that's not easy to do, but it's better if you can do that. And learning how to deal with sad feelings can make a big difference in your life. Other ways to talk about sadness might be people say you're feeling low or down or depressed, but if it goes away on its own and it doesn't impact your life in a big way, it's closer to sadness, and it isn't depression, which is a mental health illness. When sadness lasts a long time, so what's a long time? It varies, but clinically there's an amount of time that usually 1 to 3 months. If it's intense for long periods of time, that goes into depression and not sadness. So in your mind, it may seem like it's going to last forever, but in reality, they do pass, and you do move through them. But if they don't, again, that is more equal to depression. Sometimes sad feelings go on for a long time, hurt too deep, and make it hard to enjoy the good things about life. This deeper sadness that lasts a lot longer is depression. So recognizing that everybody has limits, and if you feel like you should be feeling better by now, or you're being too hard on yourself maybe, or maybe you've dealt with it a long time and you need to get help. Depression can make it seem like problems are too big to deal with, and people who are depressed might think that things will never get better, and that they're worthless or bad, or somehow it's their fault. And then they start to be feeling sad or grumpy, angry, agitated. I mean, there's a lot of feelings that come up. Absolutely, a great big one is lack of motivation, being tired, and just not having the energy to do the things you normally do or used to do. So knowing the difference, we've all had bad days, and it's normal, and normal sadness goes away on its own. Depression is a mental health disorder that is more severe and lasts longer than normal sadness. It interferes with other aspects of your life, work, school, relationships, but always know that there's hope, and you can deal with it and get through it and move through it, and have happy, healthy lives. So where it says it interferes with your life, I always talk about, are you eating, are you sleeping, are you doing things normally you do with friends or family? Are those things still happening, or are those really very difficult now? So if they are, that can be a big sign, and we'll talk more about that. So causes of depression, sometimes you just can't pinpoint it. Sometimes it just comes up and you're not sure why, and that can do with chemicals in the brain and how much you're producing, or you're producing not enough, or you're using a lot of it. So sometimes it's that, so you really don't know how to pinpoint it. Sometimes it's a stressful event or many stressful events over time. Different kinds of personalities, people who are overly anxious or very, very shy, or perfectionism is a big one, that people who fear making mistakes, that's a lot of pressure on yourself, and it makes for, your energy gets really low. So that those kind of personalities sometimes do have more depression. So we're going to look at this video, and it's going to take, I don't know, probably a couple minutes. It's a short video. Interesting. I've watched it several times, so I think we're fine. Let's hope our internet connects.
Sometimes it's hard to breathe. Other times I feel I can't eat. Sometimes I am so angry I see. Other times I cry myself to sleep. It's hard to explain the emotions, which are the mood swings that are inside me. It's hard to say sorry to those I burn, or for others to understand what they can't see. There really are no words to describe this illness, and I don't know if there really is a cure. It isn't always possible to clean up the mess when you wreck something that's pure. But when you feel you need to hurt yourself, and death seems the only option that's right, remember, this is just a blemish in your health. So don't give up the fight.
Oh!
Sometimes,
Whoop. Sorry about that. All right. Okay. So signs of depression. An important thing to note about this is these signs are different for everybody. So, 10 people can be lined up, and 3 people have some depression and don't have all of the same signs as the next guy or the next lady or girl or kid or child. We're all unique, we're all different, and this is just a compilation of many different signs. So what is common is negative feelings and mood. So people with depression might feel unusually sad, discouraged, or defeated. They might feel hopeless, helpless, or alone. And some people feel guilty, unworthy, rejected, unloved. And some people feel anger, easily annoyed, agitated, bitter. Any or all of these negative emotions can be part of a depressed mood if they go on for weeks or more. Negative thinking is another common one. People with depression get stuck in negative thinking. This can make people focus on problems and faults, and it can make things seem bleak or worse than they really are. But the way we talk to ourselves and the thoughts we think really can make them a lot bigger and seem more intense. Negative thinking can make a person believe things will never get better and that they're too big to solve, and that nothing can fix it or nothing matters. And so the hopelessness comes in, feeling hopeless because it seems too overwhelming. And one of the ways I usually describe it is sometimes for people it seems like they're just looking through a little tiny slit and trying to see sunshine or goodness, and it's just dark everywhere but a very little bit. And that is draining, and it's upsetting, and it's not how they usually feel, so they don't always know what to do. It can be very scary too. Negative thinking can be self-critical. People believe they're worthless or unlovable, even though it's not true. Even when there's other people telling them, parents, family, teachers, loved ones, that they are lovable, sometimes they don't believe it. They just are in such a low space that it's hard to believe. That can lead people with depression to think about harming themselves or about ending their own life. Negative thinking can block our ability to see solutions and realize that a problem is actually temporary. Low energy and motivation is another big one. So if you're someone who typically likes to hang out with friends and be out and about a lot, but you just don't want to, you don't feel like it's fun anymore, that can be a sign. Another person may really not ever like to be out and about with a lot of people, but they find they're usually more alone, and that's normal for them, but for their depression and a symptom of theirs, it could be anger. So again, the difference is person to person, but low energy is a big one. Feeling drained and exhausted often, sleeping a lot, or sometimes sleeping very little. So sometimes people feel like they never get enough sleep and they've slept 12, 14, a whole bunch of hours. And some people feel like they can't sleep at all. So those are opposites, but still signs. It just depends on the person individually. Poor concentration. Depression can make it hard to concentrate and focus. And obviously that impacts schoolwork and paying attention in class and having the energy to participate and be interactive. Remembering what other people say and or with parents or loved ones. Physical problems. Some people with depression have an upset stomach or loss of appetite. Some gain weight, some lose weight. Again, the opposites, but still both are signs. And people might notice headaches and sleeping problems when they're depressed. Social withdrawal. People with depression may pull away from friends, family, or activities they once enjoyed, and it makes them feel more lonely and isolated. And then that thinking continues to get worse, and it's a big cycle. So we're going to watch another video, hopefully. Come on.
Hey, I'm Ellie, and this is Lynn.
Hey.
Hey, last year I was diagnosed with depression. And this is Lynn. Last year I was diagnosed. Probably heard the words depression before. Might not know exactly what depression means. Might not know exactly what depression means. Hey, let's say you get some
This is a
bad
test to see if you're awake and listening.
Is everybody listening?
Things like breakups are
I'm pausing that. I'm so sorry.
So we could start it again.
Yes, we're gonna rewind it.
Rewind.
My apologies, everybody. Let's try this again.
Hey, I'm Ellie, and this is Lynn.
Hey.
Last year, I was diagnosed with depression. Lynn was there to see the whole thing go down. You've probably heard the words depression before, but might not know exactly what depression means. Let's say you get some bad news. Hey.
Oh my god. I just saw your boyfriend holding hands with Jenny at the mall. He is so over you.
Things like breakups are painful and might make you feel sad, frustrated, angry, or heartbroken. But trust me, most teens go through that kind of stuff. Depression is something completely different. Check this out. Think of a thermostat in your house or apartment. When the temperature in your house gets too cold, the heat kicks in and brings the temperature back to just right. Your brain works a lot like the thermostat. Let me show you. Let's say this line is the just right mood. And these two dotted lines are the happy and sad range of emotions that you might feel whenever. Like the thermostat in your house, when your mood goes down, your brain makes changes to bring your mood back up. When your mood goes up, your brain makes changes to bring your mood back down to that just right level. When I was depressed, it was like the thermostat in my brain broke. My mood started going down, and I got totally stuck, like at the super low level. That's when depression came into my life. When I was depressed, there were some really obvious signs that something was wrong. My sleep changed. I wanted to sleep all the time. I had no energy. Even brushing my teeth felt overwhelming. That sounds stupid, but that's how I felt. I lost interest in all the things I used to like. It seemed like nothing made me happy or excited anymore.
Don't answer the phone. No one wants to talk to you. Look at yourself. Who would want to be around you?
I had lots of sad thoughts and feelings. It was like my brain kept saying things to me that I would never have thought before.
Ellie, I care about you. Things are gonna get better. I promise. You're just having a hard time right now.
Am I always going to be like this? I just feel so sad.
You're my best friend, and I know you're gonna get through this. I think you should talk to someone and try to get some help.
Just leave me alone. I felt like I was in an elevator going down, and I couldn't get off. I started to think that I'd be better to die than to keep feeling so sad. That scared me. I remembered what my friend Lynn said, and I decided to get help. I went to see a therapist. The therapist told me that the thoughts of sadness and hopelessness and suicide were my depression talking. My therapist said that as my mood went back up, depression would be forced to leave me alone. The other thing was to take the meds my doctor prescribed me to help my brain work the way it did before I was depressed. Having Lynn's support made a huge difference. After taking the meds for a while and talking to my therapist, I really started to feel better. Life is worth living again.
I'm just happy you're back to your old self. I told you you'd feel better.
All right, we've got some serious texting to do. So, TTYL. Depression is a serious illness, and it is so important to get help as soon as you start feeling depressed. If you are worried that you might be depressed, talk to your doctor and tell him or her how you're feeling. You can also check out this website to learn more about depression.
We have another one, so I'm just gonna get it going here, I hope, and I keep clicking the wrong button. Goodness. We saw that one.
Are you sleeping? It's the middle of the day. Is everything all right?
Yeah, I'm just tired.
Your teacher, she said you've been missing school. And when you do show up, you often seem unprepared. Lana, that's so unlike you. What's going on? You've always been such a good student. Lana, what's the matter? Baby, can you talk to me? You want to get up? Come down, have something to eat with me? Stop, just stop. You know what? You need to snap out of it. Stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Sometimes parents don't know what to do or how to help when you're depressed. They may misread the situation and say or do things that aren't helpful. Usually it's out of concern or fear.
Hey, Ray.
So with that last video and the mom trying to encourage the child to get up or asking her what's wrong, it is so very common for kids, young people, teenagers, younger, growing up, to push away and not exactly know what to say or how to say it. And then parents do get frustrated and they get worried and very scared and agitated sometimes because parents or guardians or people feel like they should be able to fix or help. And sometimes if it's too hard to talk about for the kid, the parents shut out and then there's this kind of standoff. The child needs the parent or guardian or loved one, but they don't want to ask or they don't know how to. And the parent is saying, I've had lots of family sessions in the office, and the parent's saying, but he or she won't talk to me, and I keep trying, but they say they're fine, I'm okay, or indicate that they don't want to talk, and the parent knows that there's something going on. So it's very complicated, but I always encourage the kids and the adults to never give up. Keep talking about it, keep asking, keep connecting, and hopefully there'll be a time when some help can be reached. So the signs of depression can go unrecognized. People with depression may not realize they're depressed because self-critical thinking is part of depression. Some people might think of themselves as just being a failure or a bad student or dumb or not getting it or somehow projecting the self or having the self-criticism, the blame themselves, and that's not their fault. It's not something that people who are depressed choose. It's not like that. None of those things are true, but often people will report that is something they feel. Because depression can affect how a person acts, it might be understood as a bad attitude. So other people might think the person isn't trying, and that could happen at school or other situations, maybe with sports or out and about in the community, when in reality that young person is struggling but doesn't know how to ask for help or feels like it's their fault, or maybe other people have an impression about mental health that the youth feels like it's not okay to talk about depression. It's not okay to, they may feel like they're weak, and that's another myth. It's definitely not weakness, but so, there's many different ways that it can come out in how it's expressed when you're depressed. Again, the anger or irritable mood. People might say, I can't even get along with you anymore. You're no fun to be around, and then the person with depression feels like, why do I even try? And then more isolation occurs. And so someone can also skip school or classes because they don't want to face the teacher or even their friends. And that is a huge warning sign. when normally their friends or people they like to be around, they don't want to be. That's hard and a big warning sign. So some people with depression have other problems, and these can intensify the feelings of worthlessness or inner pain. So for some people, they may cut themselves, or they struggle with eating disorders, or go through extreme mood changes. And yeah, those are all part of the unrecognized depression. When depression is recognized and treated, it often clears the way for other problems to get treated too. So it will connect to other difficulties, and there's so much healing that occurs. It's really, really, really amazing. So I liked this part in the We Are Native, the website, and when life sucks, because it does suck sometimes, and for everybody, at different situational things. And all of us at one time or another feel, and I thought this could be salty, and I don't know if that's the right word, but I know the other word, but I know some kids use this word. I'd be curious if that fits. Anyway, this can mean different. Yeah, but salty can be like, kind of like I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
So different things for different people. Sad, angry, stressed out, fed up. You could get a sense of not feeling like yourself, or feeling sick. My stomach hurts. Diarrhea. I feel like throwing up. I can't eat. I can't stop eating. Again, person to person, different. But warning signs that something else is going on, and it's important to reach out. So we're going to watch another video. If I can do this here. Maybe I didn't press it hard enough. Okay. Or we may skip it. Oh, no, here we are. Okay.
When you feel stressed, anxious, or down, it can be hard to understand or even talk about what's going on. So it's completely normal if you start feeling confused and isolated. But you're not alone. It's actually pretty common to feel this way.
Admitting that there's something wrong is always scary, like having to depend on someone.
I remember not wanting to talk to anyone about it because I assumed that everyone else was going through it, and everyone else was feeling the same, so I would just sound like a complainer.
One of the reasons that comes up is that young people don't really see the problem as being serious enough to worry and help, even when it often is.
What are all the challenges that are going through, which is school, family?
I struggle personally a lot with stress, like when I was studying.
Things to do with school or self-image, I think peer pressure, more social situations as well.
Just going to the supermarket and buying groceries and you have to actually talk to a stranger, even that can be just like difficult for some people, or just leaving the house as a general rule.
I think it's hard that the anxiety isn't just around the future, like it's around a lot of things. And I think if I could pin what stops me to one thing, it would just be feeling anxious towards things.
What we're talking about is that kind of stress or anxiety that really gets in the way of doing the things that you want to do.
So I stayed at home because I'm scared if I go outside, no one can understand me. But I was kind of getting depression.
Yeah, depression doesn't always have to have a reason. It can just happen.
But I think the common thread is recognition I'm not feeling right. Something's not ticking well for me. I think that's important instead of trying to figure out exactly what it is, exactly what caused it, exactly what the treatment is.
A lot of the young people may not feel confident. They might feel ashamed of the situations they were to deal with.
So many young people find it hard to like talk to someone or just find help from someone who they're scared, or they just don't know what others would think, or if they'd be judged on anything.
It's okay to feel shit sometimes.
It's very normal to feel sometimes a bit down or anxious.
Knowing that you got to climb out of it and that you can is more important.
In terms of managing stress and depression, what we know is that exercise is really good, you know, diet and nutrition is really important. The other thing is about finding stuff that you love and engaging in it.
Talking about it will help, expressing yourself using art.
I think the best thing is just letting people know that you're there if you need them, and that it's always okay to seek help.
It's all right to ask for help. I've been in those shoes before, like I needed help and I was scared to ask for help, but you realize after you do get help, you feel better.
Okay. Clear these out here. Just keep pushing buttons, right? Okay. So another area that I wanted to touch on was the social media, because it's difficult and it's immediate, and people gossip and people make up things and they lie and they tell start rumors and they send pictures, and there's so much stress involved with it nowadays. So it's really good to know that there is some ways to reach out if you notice a friend posts something that seems problematic, suicidal statement, I want to die, or they need help somehow. Never hesitate to go to an adult to get help if you see something posted, because it's always somebody asking or wanting help, whether they type it like that or not. So this is another. Oh, see, I'm just touching again and again. It's gonna start, and I'll have 10 of them rolling.
Today, people all over the world share all sorts of experiences about their lives online. The conversations that happen online oftentimes mirror those held offline, including in some instances, words of pain. Stephen Miller lost a close friend to suicide, and he lives with that loss.
And then I remember seeing on his Facebook post that he said, it's too heavy, it's too hard, I just can't do it anymore. And I remember feeling that it didn't feel right, but kind of pausing and not really knowing what to do. And I remember thinking, man, I'm gonna call him tomorrow.
Stephen never got the chance. Many of us don't know what to do when a friend makes comments like these on social media. Facebook wants to change that for people using its platform. Facebook has teamed up with academic researchers at the University of Washington, Forefront, and NowMattersNow.org, as well as the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline and Save.org, to enhance the support and resources that are available.
The reality is that a lot of people are posting not just the pictures of their kid's birthday party, they are also posting things, that they're experiencing real pain and that they are suffering. And so social media provides an opportunity to engage people who are in that place of suffering and pain.
So you reach out to that person and you express compassion and concern, and you practice non-judgmentalness.
Realtor Carrie Simmons had just finished an open house and was checking Facebook when she saw a post that stopped her.
At the top of the postings was a posting from a friend of mine that I went to high school with that said, I want to thank everyone who tried to help me. And I knew right away it was a goodbye message.
Carrie called a mutual friend who worked with authorities to locate the person who wrote the suicide post. In order to turn more potential tragedies into stories like Carrie's, Facebook is taking steps to make suicide prevention resources easily available to those who need them most by updating its support tools in collaboration with mental health experts.
Sorry. Goodness sakes.
And
Carrie called a mutual friend who stories like Carrie's. Facebook is taking steps to make suicide prevention resources easily available to those who need them most by updating its support tools in collaboration with mental health experts.
we've tried to lay a really strong academic foundation where we talk to multiple clinicians, multiple suicide prevention experts, and have them vet the product that we've created to make sure that they feel comfortable with it.
When someone reports a post they are concerned about to Facebook, a trained team reviews the content and may provide tools and resources to both the reporter and the person who wrote the troubling post. Tools range from connection to a free, confidential chat line with trained helpers at the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline to a set of self-care tips that can help people take a break from their emotions, to a help guide and other resources for a friend to support someone who posted something about suicide.
From the design side for the suicide prevention experience, it was really important to understand that people in these situations are in a lot of distress.
Perhaps most important, from the get-go, people with what is called lived experience around suicide have been involved with developing these steps.
And I can't tell you how much of a difference it made to put the messaging in front of attempt survivors and have them tell us what they thought of it.
It's been amazing, actually. I was able to go in and see and interact with the project. The best thing that a person could say in this situation, in my experience, is that they care, that they love you, and that they're concerned.
And by working with the academic community and suicide survivors, Facebook has learned its connections have even more value in a suicide prevention context.
One of the first things that Forefront taught us was that one of the things that really improves outcomes is increased social connectedness. That's what we do, is help people connect and help people interact.
Connecting with a friend when they are struggling can make all the difference.
Anytime somebody posts anything on Facebook or social media that's even kind of questionable, I instantly private message them or text them or reach out to them, say, hey, are you serious? Is this, do you want to talk?
Everybody has the responsibility to be there for their fellow man in whatever way they can. And it is sometimes asking hard questions is the most loving, supportive thing you can do, even though it's hard.
Okay, that video clip, the end of that, where she says sometimes asking the questions can be hard. Somebody might get angry. Maybe you call a parent or you tell an adult and they talk to a parent, or and it's always better to have somebody mad and get help than to have something horrible happen with suicide or some kind of self-harm or things going on that if you wouldn't have told or talked about it, that person didn't get the help. So it may be uncomfortable, but just try to muster up the energy to do it to help. That's my advice. So I know you guys already had a lesson on suicide, and you didn't do the dream catcher, or did you already do that one? I think
it's so short. It's nice.
Okay, we'll play this one. So for some reason, depression may lead to thoughts of suicide. Try to remember that you don't have to act on these thoughts, and no matter how overwhelming they are or heavy they feel, if you're considering ending your life, it's important to talk to somebody right away. Even if you think, oh, I don't want to bother someone, I don't want them to worry about me, I should be able to take care of this myself, it's all about me, my fault, talk to somebody. If you're in a crisis, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and there's more resources I have at the end of this. There's phone numbers, there's people. Always reach out, always reach out. If it's uncomfortable to talk to somebody call a crisis line, because we do need you all here. You're all very important.
That's right.
Our culture is community. Our community is like a dream catcher. Each strand has its own qualities, just as we do. Though if we were to lose a strand, it has a direct effect on others. If we notice a strand starting to fray, take time to mend it before it all falls apart.
Whatever brings you back, hang on to that, because it will always have your back.
Catch us!
Here are a few suicide warning signs that you can look for.
Giving away possessions and concerning posts on social media.
Decreased interest in appearance and audience.
Impulsive, reckless behavior or feeling sad and hopeless.
Saying things like, all my problems will end soon and I don't want to be here anymore. Feeling helpless and misuse of drugs and alcohol.
Loss of interest in sports and leisure or extreme behavior changes.
A mental health condition and withdrawal from others.
To give help or get help, call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK or text START to 741-741.
So what helps depression get better? Attention and care. And once you get going with it, it's often easier than you think it is because you have others to help and support you. If it's not treated, things typically stay like they are or get worse and build upon and just continue to kind of spiral. So that's why people who are depressed shouldn't wait and hope it'll go away by itself. If you think you might be depressed, talk to a parent, adult, somebody to get the help. And they'll hopefully be able to line you up with a medical checkup. That's always important. There could be other things going on that you're not aware of. And it's a good place to start. Talking to a counselor obviously is an excellent idea. Having meetings and going and problem solving and finding out ways to better handle your emotions and feelings and put feelings into words, how to feel understood and supported, and building confidence, work out problems, change negative thinking patterns that are part of the loop that I think people get into, that negative loop of negative thinking, and increasing self-esteem and self-acceptance and positive emotion. So working through depression could include counseling or talk therapy all by itself. It can include counseling and medication or both. It can be a combination or one or the other, and everybody's different. So don't think anything about someone who's managing it differently than you. Good things to do: get a lot of daylight, eat right, and learn some relaxation things. That's helpful. So we're going to jump into this nervous and worried, and I think I'm nervous. I'm running out of time. I'm sorry, worried and anxiety. I didn't have worry. Difference between nervous and worried and anxiety, yeah. So anxiety is an uncomfortable feeling or imminent disaster and is a normally emotional response to danger. What makes one person anxious may not trigger somebody else into the same response you're having. Everyone feels some anxiety at different times. During life, it becomes a problem if you feel so anxious that interferes with your day-to-day activities, kind of like the depression. If it's impacting other areas of your life and you're noticing it, or other people are as well, that's more of a warning signal. It's not just feeling nervous or worried about something, that it may be more anxiety. So I think I'm gonna skip that video and go to the next here. So anxiety isn't useless at all. It's a result of the sympathetic nervous system, which is in charge of the fight or flight response, and it lets you respond immediately to threats and also can help you meet a looming deadline. So immediate to threats would be something like jumping out of the way of a car that seems out of control, or running very fast from a dangerous situation, and the looming deadline if you have some nervousness or worry going on because you have a test or a big school project due. That nervousness helps prompt you into action, so you can study or do what you need to do to get the stuff done. So anxiety is normal to nervousness and worried, stress feeling can be activating and good. Anxiety, on the other hand, is physical symptoms, and that's not so positive. But we do need the stress to help us sometimes get into gear, to move. So that is, do we want to play that one? No, I think we're gonna go past that guy too. So worry.
And these videos, you can go back, they're gonna be in the bottom of the screen, so you'll be able to play them at your own leisure.
Wonderful. I think they're good. They give some more depth, and I apologize, I'm kind of talking too much, I guess. So worry is very normal, and when things get hectic or complicated, we tend to think a lot about things. And if worries become overwhelming, you might feel like that worry's running your life, and you may have a lot of energy put into trying to figure it out, or feeling nervous, or start not sleeping well, or again, some of the same symptoms as depression. Hard to pay attention, hard to focus, hard to kind of be and act how you've always acted or been, because you're too concerned with whatever the worry is or the thing that's going on. If these things are happening, that is likely symptoms of anxiety, a problem with anxiety or the anxiety disorder. And there's a lot of them. You know, again, not everyone has the same anxiety things going on. So signs and symptoms. I think we will play this one.
Gary Peters shows up for Michigan.
Lowering drug costs, protecting
First
our
we
borders,
get a video.
saving taxpayers millions. No one has written and passed more bills through the U.S. Senate over the last 2 years.
Gary Peters, one of the most bipartisan and effective senators.
We're not supporting this candidate, it's just...
According to
popped
the
up.
American Psychological Association, people with anxiety have a future-oriented fear, which leads them to avoiding anything that could potentially trigger a stress response. In 2017, the National Institute of Mental Health reported that approximately 40 million people worldwide suffer from anxiety. Anxiety disorders are highly treatable, but recent surveys show that only 36.9% of those suffering from it seek treatment. This might be because most people with anxiety worry about the judgment of others and how the stigma against mental illness might negatively affect their lives. Does this sound familiar to you? Do you worry you might be suffering from anxiety and just don't realize it? Here are 10 telltale signs of hidden anxiety to look out for. 1. You don't like talking to people face to face. You can easily keep a conversation going for hours when you're texting or chatting online with a friend. But talking to someone in person, no, that's an entirely different story. Even if you already know them well or have talked to them online, you still get tense and nervous talking to them in person. You have trouble making eye contact or finding the words to respond, and you want to end face-to-face conversations as soon as they begin. 2. You're always self-conscious. Do you walk into a room and immediately feel like everyone is staring at you, listening to you, and judging your every move? Or perhaps you're overly conscious of the way you walk, the way you eat, the way you sit, the sound of your voice when you talk, and so on. This could be a sign that you have hidden anxiety. 3. You're easily upset or irritated. Has anyone ever told you you're too sensitive? Do you find your feelings getting hurt easily? Are you quick to get angry or upset with others over the littlest things? This kind of emotional volatility may be a sign that you have high-functioning anxiety, as anxiety can often make us easily overwhelmed and emotionally imbalanced. Frequent mood swings, temper tantrums, and irritability can be expected when you're overly anxious. 4. You're panicky and easily startled. Anxiety makes you want to be as in control and vigilant as possible. An unexpected phone call, a random knock on the door, an email with no subject, or a forgotten task you can easily finish. Anything is enough to send you reeling with panic. You go into a tailspin whenever something catches you off guard, and you find it hard to relax even when the smallest things don't go exactly as planned. 5. You're indecisive. Do you have trouble making even the simplest of choices? Are you afraid of making up your mind about something because you're so sure that whatever decision you make is going to be the wrong one? Oftentimes, anxiety can manifest as perfectionist tendencies, fear of failure, or distrust in oneself. If you can't make your own choices without thinking about it for hours and hours first, or consulting with all your friends and family, you might be harboring some hidden anxiety. 6. You overthink past conversations. You have a tendency to get hung up on past conversations no matter how much time has passed since then. You analyze the other person's body language, facial expressions, choices of words, and even the tone of their voice. You can't help but think about what you should have done or said instead, and it drives you crazy and keeps you on edge every time you remember it. 7. You're always making yourself busy. It's common for people with anxiety to have a strong need to keep themselves busy. They like to occupy themselves with simple tasks and do as many things as possible in a day, because sitting still and doing nothing for a long time can make them feel restless and on edge. 8. You talk yourself down all the time. Life isn't always kind to us, and self-love and a balanced lifestyle doesn't come easily. Living with anxiety, especially if it's hidden or suppressed, can make it hard for us to feel good about ourselves and let ourselves feel happy. It makes us believe that we don't deserve it and traps us in a vicious cycle of negative self-talk and constant pressure to be perfect. 9. You have a lot of negative thoughts. Are you a pessimist who's quick to find the downsides in every situation? You find yourself getting upset or stressing out over even the most minor inconveniences? Is every day a constant battle with yourself against the spiral of panicked and irrational thoughts you have? In 1997, famed psychologist and cognitive therapist Aaron Beck termed this kind of thought pattern as catastrophic thinking, which he often observed in his patients who suffered from anxiety. And 10. You experience physical symptoms. Sometimes anxiety can be entirely physical, because while your conscious mind may not always be aware of your anxiety, it will definitely make itself known to your body. Things like erratic heartbeats, chest palpitations, muscle tension, a clenched jaw, shaky hands, and profuse sweating are all indicative of anxiety. Your body may be trying to let your mind know that you're feeling anxious and stop it before it gets any worse. Do you relate to any of the problems listed here, or do you do your best to seem okay and hide your symptoms because you feel embarrassed about your anxiety? The truth is, you're not alone, and having mental health issues is nothing to be ashamed of. But what do you plan to do next? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to...
Okay, we're going to go through the rest of these here. So we got signs and symptoms. So normally anxiety is a reaction to something specific, like an upcoming test, or fits a situation. A small problem causes only a slight amount of anxiety, like running late and behind on a presentation. Is realistic. Your anxiety makes sense given the situation, and it ends when the situation is over. But it becomes a problem when it feels like it can come out of nowhere. You're not sure why you're feeling anxious. It's strong. It's stronger than you expect. It's unrealistic, like focusing on something awful happening over a little issue. It stays with you, it lingers, you overthink, and often can start to cause you harm and stop you from living each day fully. And it may not mean you have a mental illness like an anxiety disorder, but it can still have an impact on your life, and it might be a sign that you need extra support, and counseling is a great way to get that. So it may not be a full-on anxiety disorder, but if it's impacting your life, reach out and get some help for it. We're going to skip the videos because you guys can look at them later. Look for the signs of problems with anxiety. So there's feelings that come up, being scared, worried, on edge, angry, irritated, uneasy. Thoughts that come up, like what if, and those can go on and on and on. Something terrible will happen, and you start to think in the terms of it's going to, when you really don't know that if that's a fact or not. So these thoughts get in the way of living fully and being and feeling good. Just a nice little, what people see on the outside is anger, sleep issues, maybe seeming like you don't care, but underneath you're having all this anxiety that isn't talked about. Avoiding places, people, things, using distractions, always or often seeking a lot of reassurance, struggling to pay attention, and then there's a few more. You guys are going to have to read through them, I'm sorry. There's a lot of changes that go on in your body, and the physical part of anxiety is possibly racing heart, sweating. Sometimes I get a really, really red face when I have a great deal of anxiety going on. Difficulty sleeping, feeling tired, muscle aches, stomach aches. Okay, some coping skills you guys can look at. Getting support, very, very, very important. Here's just a little way to word it. If you talk to an adult or a parent, I've been feeling down or anxious. It's just a good intro to, hey, I wonder if I need to talk to someone. Can I go do that? Can you help me? And if they can't, or they're busy, and there's a lot of things that go on, reach out elsewhere. Aunt, uncle, grandma, nurse, teacher. Keep moving until you get the support and help. We're going to skip all videos. This We Are Native, this auntie thing is amazing. She's really cool. I hope you guys are checking that out. At Behavioral Health, here we have crisis on call after hours. And then those are our work hours. Always call if you need to. Don't ever hesitate. Even during the day, we have someone that can talk to somebody last minute crisis wise, or you can come into the office and meet with somebody. There's on-call people available for you and our family member or friends.
Even on Saturday and Sunday?
Those are closed, but crisis always on call Saturday, Sunday, middle of the night, any time on a weekend, holiday, every day.
Wow.
Yes. There's our building, and please come see us if you need to. Some more numbers. I thought those were good. The listening ear, crisis line, our behavioral health. Just a few other things, and I don't know, these could be something you guys have already seen, I'm not sure, but you have them here, and some of them are also like online. I'm gonna skip, I have a lot of slides about therapy, not a lot, but a few, and what you do, and some of the ideas about what happens in case you've never went or nobody in your family has. But I'm rushing, so again, I will apologize for the 20th time. Ways to help yourself, some ideas, and whether you go to a therapist or not, take a look at these, because there are a lot of active things you can do for your own mental wellness. And the survey, is this something that you guys need to do?
So you'll click on the top of on the side of the screen. IT will have a part next to this where you found this video. There's a website that you can find. This is not it. It's the one that we showed you last week. So go look and see. It says cultural survey. And if you'll look at that and do that, that'll help you win your t-shirt. And as far as the t-shirts are going, I'm going to send some over to the school. So if you tell your Native American advocate that you watch this video, I'll send your size over to the school. And those of you that don't go to the schools that are in our area, you can send me your address and we'll mail it to you, or you can come by on the 30th after school and pick it up at Nimke Clinic. So also I wanted to encourage you to do those TikTok videos. We've received a couple of them, but we need a lot more, and we'll show them next Wednesday at 4 o'clock. So Mama P.
Thank you.
We're finished. Thank you, Andrea. That was wonderful.
Thank you so much.